My name is Johnny Douglas. I'm your host. Today we will be discussing building a website that will boost your traffic, but also ways to protect your brand. And today we have with us Mr. Atley Joseph. He's the CEO of Digital Reputation and Reviews. Welcome, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Johnny. Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here. One of the things that most businesses owners have problems with is when they get that negative or that bad review. And when they get that negative and bad review, what do I do with this? How do I handle this? How do I address this? And I must admit, I was one of those people at a time in my life that would go on Yelp and would actually be one of those damaging impacts to a business if I thought the service wasn't up to par. And I had to learn about the pen stroke that I wrote is somebody's livelihood and life is attached to the end of that pen stroke. So it made me pause for that. But I know that you are an expert in this area. And what I'd like you to do at first, sir, is to give us an overview of your business and, a little background about you and what caused you to go into this part of business that business owners seem to neglect almost every day.
All right, Johnny. So I'll go first with who I am. I am a 20-year Navy veteran, retired in 2018 from the world's greatest, military force, and got into digital marketing while I was still in the service as a whole, designing websites, retargeting, landing pages, funnels, all that stuff. But as we all know, 2020 was the year that hit the world with COVID-19, and with COVID-19 not being able to go anywhere, not really going out to be able to do things, experience new restaurants, stores, products, whatever. It started from a client that reached out to me, has a restaurant, and asked me, how much do I know about the Google reviews? Because we had it set up in his automation to ask for a review, once customers paid through his POS system, gave him the link. We had his profile optimized, but it wasn't working too well for him. He asked me, hey, Alec, can you make it easier for us? He's like, because right now everyone's calling, people are talking about the reviews. That's the only way they could really learn about us. And he wants to be able to attack that before his competitors get to it. So I was like, all right, let me look into it and I'll come up with some ideas for you. We did. Fast forward about 2 weeks, he thought it was the best thing in the world. In those less than 2 weeks, he received more reviews in those 2 weeks than he received like in 3 or 4 months. Just doing it, on the normal. So that's when he was like, yeah, this is definitely something that you should look into for some of your other clients that can use the service. And, he did make that joke, make sure it's not another restaurant. He didn't want no competitors. So I was like, yeah, no problem. So I did reach out to a few other clients. I asked them, say, hey, I'm starting up a new service where I'm really going to hone in on it. Are you interested in it? And of course, as any client would say, hey, how much extra is it? I'm like, oh, no extra. Just let's see how it works. If you like it, and then we can discuss, cost. They all loved it because it was a part of their business they weren't really focusing on. Yes, they knew about the reviews, but they wasn't really too focused on actually, actively having a program to actually solicit reviews from their customers or clients. And then from there, that's when, I sat down, I thought about it, wait up, there seems to be a niche where, yes, there's a market, but not really a market. There's other agencies that do it on large scale, but still, I was like, okay, where can I still fit in there as a small guy coming into it? How can I fit in where you have like these bigger companies out there that do reputation management? And that's when I signed up to some of their services just to test them out. And I realized, wow, people want to do things quick. We live in an age where, things are moving fast. Same thing with the reviews. When you're asking for a review, soliciting a review from a customer, it's got to be moving fast. And that's when I realized, okay, if I could make this process as fast as possible with a little bit of touch of automation, if needed, it's going to work. And that's what I've been doing since. And then I realized, started getting more referrals for it. Business owners say, hey, You might want to talk to my guy. He can definitely help out with your reviews. And that's where it started building from there. And that's when I started seeing a shift from my normal, web design agency to, hey, you know what? This seems to be picking up a lot faster. Let me switch over to this route. And ever since I switched over to this route here, that's where I've noticed, learning more and more about the whole reputation management. I'm seeing a direct relationship to sales, to revenue. Because again, when people are searching for things, there's a term they call buyers in heat. I mean, when you're going on Google and you're looking for something, you're not just looking for anything. You're looking for something that you're interested in, something that you're probably going to purchase or you're going to go visit. So therefore, you're called a buyer in heat. So when you're a buyer in heat, yes, you want to see somebody, you want to come up in the top results. Then there's SEO. That's something that a lot of companies pay a lot of money for SEO. That particular restaurant, that gentleman, he was paying a substantial amount for SEO. Today, he doesn't pay for SEO at all, zero. He just uses his reviews from Google, because your Google reviews, when you're typing that review, you're going to use keywords. Those keywords, they help to your SEO. So as long as you're getting reviews, say daily reviews if you're a restaurant or whatnot, and Google knows what type of business you are just from basic foot traffic. You may ask, how do they know about your foot traffic? A lot of people walk around with their phones. When you walk around with phones, they're tracking you.
Right.
So they're tracking. They know the traffic of your business and how to relate it to your SEO. So it helps. It definitely helps in the algorithms that no one knows about. But from what we see at the market, what we see, you definitely see it. And then you just ask for direct feedback from the owners themselves. Hey, when you see new faces coming into your business, like, where are they finding you from? How do you? They're finding me on Google now. Oh, they're finding you on, they're searching. They're getting that more and more. The ones that actually have active reputation management in place, they're the ones that seeing that. They're like, yes, they're actually getting it from Google. People are finding me on Google now.
Right. Okay. Wow. Well, so AJ, one thing that I got what you said was you saw a need. Someone came to you and you saw a need and you figured, wait a minute, this cannot possibly be the only person that has this need. There's got to be others that have that need. And I think one thing that helps you is because you do have a web design background where you've designed webs, you've done newsletters, you've done website management, you've done reputation management, and you've also done growth development. So you've had that history and those certifications and that qualifications to do that, which make reviews and reputation really, 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 really your niche. Because now you know how that not only is it to have a good website, but also to have management of that website, that now your brand is protected. And I think a lot of times we forget about the branding, like your brand, like Nike's brand, or like Starbucks brand, like back a while ago when Starbucks had to do diversity training because of what happened to a couple of guys that went into one of the Starbucks stores and they felt they were discriminated against. That's a brand attack. That's a reputation. That is something that you have to work on. And so they came back very, very successfully with a diversity and inclusion program that they installed into their corporation to make sure that they correct that behavior. For a small business, not on that level as a Starbucks, how important is reputation to a business, small business? How? And part two of that question is, can a bad review be the worst thing that can happen?
Right. Okay. So let's take for the small businesses, with having the reputation, on board. A lot of them don't realize, I'm gonna put it this way. As a small business, your reputation, your brand management is a lot bigger, means more than the big business. The big business, they have the income, they have the resources to go ahead overnight and swoop it under the door, do some things, the amount of PR they can put out. When you're a small business, we all know small business owners, you're going to get attacked harder. directly. As soon as somebody puts a bad review, on, like, for instance, on Facebook and some of the other social channels that I'm on, I'll see people actually post that negative review when someone posts, "Hey, I'm interested in going to such and such type of restaurant or whatever." And people will actually, "Hey, well, I was checking their reviews out, and the latest reviews show that their customer services went down tremendously. So you may want to, look at somewhere else unless you want to go spend your money and, you know, not be happy." And a lot of the business owners, that I've come across, the ones like that had those type of reviews, they thought they could just ignore it. And I'm like, but when you're ignoring it, you're not realizing there's a lot of conversations on the outside, because we live in a world of social media today where you're losing a lot of business because people will see that and they're like, "Oh, wow, well, I'm not even going to look at that one because I don't want to deal with it. I don't care." And then they look at the owner. Did they even respond to that negative review? And this is rolled into negative reviews. Negative reviews are good. It's a good
Hmm.
thing. And when I say it's a good thing, as in anything with negative, it depends how you respond to it as a
Ah,
business owner. Because let's say, for instance, you get a negative review. People who write negative reviews, they go in. I mean, they're gonna type. But what they're doing for you, they're helping you with your SEO, because now they're using keywords that's pertinent to your business more so than somebody who's leaving a positive review. Because remember, they're upset, so they're going to tell you about, let's say, I use restaurants because they're the popular ones. They're going to tell you about what dishes they had. They're going to tell you about the server. They're going to tell you about if it was during a particular season. It was Mother's Day. But what they
mm,
don't realize as a business owner, they're using keywords around Mother's Day time period that, hey, that's helping your SEO. Now, as the
mm,
business owner, you have to go in there and you have to respond. And that's why I tell a lot of business, don't give them a cookie cutter responses. Don't just say, "Hey, thanks for your review. We'll do better to make it." No, use the person's name, respond to them, let them know, give them a
wow,
contact phone number and a person they can speak to. Preferably somebody that has a little bit of clout. Don't just give them, just the regular floor manager. Give them somebody high up that they can speak to. So that way, when they call, they can address the problem and then let them know you're going to follow up with them
right,
on the review. Because in your review, as a business owner and as a person leaving a review, you can update your reviews. So now I tell the customer, they left me a 1 star, they hated the service or whatever it was. Okay, I go in there, ask them, "Hey, can you please contact such and such a number at
right,
your convenience so we can help, solve this problem, fix this problem." Not asking them to change the review, just so we can fix this problem so it won't happen to anybody else or yourself. And we'll follow up in, let's say, 2 weeks. 2 weeks go by, that person never reached out. I'm gonna go back in as the owner and say, "Hey, just reaching out again. Have not heard from you. Please contact us at your soonest, availability." Time goes by. I'm, somebody new looking through the reviews. They see this 1 star. Oh man, I'm gonna read that review. Then they're gonna read the owner's response, but then they're gonna see the owner's response again. Right away now, as a consumer, I'm like, so the owner reached out again, and the person seems like it's been 2 months. They still haven't. Right away, they're going to naturally think, "Well, you know what? That was probably just a fake review anyway." Well, that could have
mm,
just been a competitor that just came in just to leave a
right,
bad review for whatever reason. So now that trust, you're building that trust. So here it is, something that was negative that a lot of owners panic because they're at a 5.0 or a 4.0
mm,
now. Now, depending on how many reviews, now they're going to drop, and it could be a substantial drop. But don't be bent on that 4.8 or that 5.0, because what Google is looking at as a whole, they're looking at the last 90 days is where that actual 4 or that 5.0 comes in. So that's why when business owners ask me, "Well, I have a lot of not so great reviews because I wasn't really actively trying to get my customers that like my services to leave me reviews. So how the heck is it ever going to get higher than a 4.2 or a 4.0, even a 3.9?" And I tell them, "Well, easy. Once a months go by, watch and see what's going to happen in 6 or 7 months. Once you start, getting positive reviews, and now all of a sudden you're higher than a 4.7, 4.8, they're happy campers. Because, for how many years they were sitting below at a 4.0 or lower than that, because why? They weren't responding to their negative reviews, and they weren't asking, actually getting positive reviews. So like I said, so negative reviews, I always tell all my clients that's the greatest thing that can happen to you for your SEO and all that stuff. And now you respond to it, and trust me, you're going to build trust. It just depends on your response. You can't have those computer responses. So we all know in today's world, automation is, you can automate pretty much everything now. People leave a
right,
review, you can set up a timer that, hey, go ahead and 10 minutes after they leave that review, go ahead and leave a response. And when you look at the responses, you'll see that it's like the same. Let's say for a positive review, it might be the same 3 or 4 responses over and over. And if for a
Mhm.
negative review, it's going to be the same, usually about 2 responses over and over. And that doesn't build trust. You want to build trust.
You know, one of the things you did say, uh, AJ, was how you respond. I remember, like I told you, I wrote this review, and fortunately for that brand and that company, they responded immediately. Um, they 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 responded immediately. I got a because you'll get an alert
Yes.
that there's a respond to your and I happen to go on Better Business Bureau. So I did, yeah, I did that kind of so, and I felt so bad afterwards because they really were accommodating. Um, everything that I said in there, they use keywords that I use. They use keywords, and I'm not going to say the keywords because I want to protect
Right.
the brand. But the keywords I use, they use back. They called me in, they took care of the problem, they rectified everything. They even sent another one saying, "We hope we hope that we were able to rectify all the concerns that you had. If you have any other concerns, please let us know. We're here." And they did that for me and everything. And I even did, as a consumer, went back and says, "You guys went above my expectations. Thank you
Right.
so much." So I even respond back because it's the proper thing to do.
Right.
You don't want to hurt a brand, but you do want the services that you're paying for. And
Correct.
so one of the things you said that really stuck with me is how you respond to the negative review. And they turned my negative review about around for them to a positive review. So that's true what you said about how you respond to the negative review. One of the things that I know I've done some research on reviews and reputations and how it can hurt branding, and I found four
Okay.
common reputation problems that small and large businesses all alike can have. And one is the lack of awareness. And you mentioned that the lack of awareness that you're even getting these bad reviews. You know, I think one of those things happen where you can be so busy running your business that you don't have time to sit there and maybe pay attention to or what's going on behind the scenes. How would the business combat that, like the lack of awareness? How do they do that when it's a small business, you're just starting out, you want to build your brand? How do you do that? How do you get away from the lack of awareness and not knowing what's going on?
So and that's the part of your business, like nowadays in business plans. I actually just had a friend. He's doing his business plan, and he's out in California. And in part of his business plan, I was shocked that he sent it to me to ask me how does he, like, what do I put in there? They want to know what was his social media plan as part of it.
Mm.
They actually there was
Wow.
a section in there that actually had for social media. How does he plan on using social media
Wow.
for his business? So that tells me newer businesses coming online now, in their business plans and stuff, they're realizing that yes, there's a need for it. You need to be more aware. But for your business who are already in business, for instance, the ones, let's say they're in business for 10 plus years, 10 years, they're established, they have the customers, we're happy, we're not going anywhere. Yeah, you're not going anywhere with the customers you have now, but at some point, you want new customers coming in to replenish. You want to grow your business with. So you
Right.
have to be aware of what's going on. Perfect example, I had a barbershop in Tampa. And when I came on board, they had like 16 reviews, and they were all like 4 and 3.0. I mean, it was low. It was low. It was like a 3
Hmm.
point something.
Wow.
And but again, they were like, listen, we got clients coming in and out the door every day. We're good. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, yeah, but how are you guys getting people? And he said, well, we're getting people, referrals and Instagram. And they have a lot of celebrities that go there also in Tampa. They have a lot of the football players and whatnot coming in. He goes, we're good with it. And I'm like, well, how about this? Let me put you on a trial for a month. I just need you to, all right, whatever. It was kind of a whatever deal. It was a referral. So he tried it. About 2.5 weeks ago, I get a phone call. First time ever, somebody walking off that when they asked in the barbershop, hey, how'd you find us? Find you on Google. So right
Wow.
away, he was kind of like, even though the reviews, because now I had him told, hey, I'm gonna send you the stuff. Start asking for the good reviews from all these clients that love you so much. And he started doing that. And next thing you know, like now I would have to, he says about 40% now. He's been on board for about 7 months now. And about 40% of his new customers come in, they're all finding him on Google. That was never a stream of revenue for him. Because he said they never had people find them on Google. Now you go to Tampa and you search for them, they're actually the number one barbershop. They
Wow.
come up
Wow.
as number.
I'm glad you said that because a lot of business owners, especially older um, business owners who, old school, they lack the technology
Yeah.
and quite honestly may not even want to deal with technology. And you said that that was a different stream of revenue. That caught my attention. Wow. You never look at Google or your website generating revenue like that, like reviews generating revenue. We always look at it as it subtracts from revenue, or if you don't have this, you don't bring in enough revenue. But wow, I like the thing. I like that. That was really, really powerful statement. You said that he started building revenue from Google.
Yeah, from Google. Now I asked him
Wow.
just a couple weeks ago, I asked him, I said, hey, and because of the type of barbershop he has, they don't have constant, they get a lot of repeat, a lot of, obviously the barbershop people coming in. And I asked him, I said, now, and that's when I told him, I said, when you did your numbers to your account, tax season time coming up, I say, and he said that when they looked at the numbers, him and the other barbers he has in the shop, he said, it came out to about 40 something percent of the, new revenue when they're looking at all their clientele that was coming in, because they're tracking. I sent him, I gave him a monthly report on the new customers, and he was like, "It's crazy." He goes, "I can't believe it." He said, they were doing good, but now the fact that when you're in Tampa and you're searching for barbershop, and they're coming up as the number one barbershop. Before they weren't even coming up on the list when you search for them. Now they're coming up on the list, and he's like, now he has the other barbershops. I want to know, like, what are they doing so different?
Mm,
Like, what's going on in there? That all of a sudden, they're because they have a website, very basic, landing
mhm.
page or so. But again, like I told him, I said, listen, if you utilize where people are looking, because most people, they're going to go to Google first. So if you're going to utilize that platform, utilize Google's own platform for
Mhm.
your business, it's going to pay off. Because at first he thought he's going to have to do Google ads. I said, no, why would you have to do Google ads if your clients are doing it for you? They're marketing
Right.
for you. How are they marketing for you? By leaving you that review.
Okay.
And that's the
Wow.
part, when he started clicking, and he just, again, it was something that he wasn't really interested in. He was like, oh, we're good. But now when he just saw how his reviews, and he's like, the return on investment for him, he looked at me, he was just like, wow, I can't believe it. He goes, something so simple, just asking people to leave the reviews, and it's paying off big for him. Because,
Wow.
when he looked at, the value of each client for him, yearly value, he's just like, that alone for him, sells it. So, and with all that, his barbers, they increased their prices. At the barber,
Wow.
they increased their prices. And he said his barbers, they were a little upset, like, man, how are you going to increase the prices now? Since they increased their prices, what do you think started happening? They got more.
Getting
They got
more
more
right.
because now people are looking at like, whoa, if they're increasing their price, something's going on in there, and people are still coming in there. I want to be a part of that too.
Wow.
And so it was something that he was like totally unexpected for him, and that's why he said that 40 something percent with that increase, in pricing for them as a barbershop. He was like, man, I never thought this would happen. Here it is,
Mm.
a few months ago, I was kind of against this, but because, you like, hey, try it out. And he was like, hey, he goes, this is what I need. And he made me make a promise that no other Tampa barbershops, I'm going to work with them.
Wow.
But
Okay. Wow. Wow.
yeah. Um,
Okay.
Yeah. So something I want to bring up too. We're talking about reputation management. It also comes down to like a lot of people will, when I go approach a lot of businesses, the first thing usually come out, they ask what's the financial behind it, the finances behind it. And I always tell them, I say, okay, your brand reputation. If you have a good brand, I ask them, how can they save money? A lot of
Mm,
them I'll ask, okay, so what are you doing right now for any kind of marketing? Any kind of
okay.
marketing. Then I'll ask them, what's your returns? What kind of returns are you getting on it? And that's when that's when the pause comes. And it's like, well, I'm doing like, flyers, I'm doing
Right.
this, I'm doing that, I'm like, okay. Then I asked him, I said, so when you check your mail and you see all those flyers that come in the mail, what do you normally do? I throw them away without even thinking about it. Then they pause, like,
Wow.
and and then all of a sudden, the deer in the headlights. And I'm like, oh, so you're spending a lot of money on a lot of flyers that usually when people probably get them in the mail, it goes to the trash. I
Right.
said, but what is something else that people have on them all the time when they're looking at? They have their cell phone, they have their tablets, all these different devices. I said, that's where you need to be attacking them at, not
Mm,
via the flyers. And then they asked me a question about ads, and I said, okay, ads. How are your ads doing? How much money are you spending in ads, and what's the return on investment on the ads?
mhm.
And again, that's another one where they're like, well, I tried a Facebook ad, but I'm not really seeing too much with that. I tried Google ads. So now when people search my business, it shows at the top. I mean, yeah, it shows at the top, but you have like a 3.8 rating. But the
Wow.
ones right below you who are not running an ad, they're like a 4.3,
Hmm.
4.6. Not saying they have a lot of reviews, but they're higher rating than you. So right away, as a consumer, I'm gonna know, oh, it's just an ad. You got crappy service. You're a 3 point whatever. Or even if you have, you have people right below you who have better reviews than you, and they're not paying for no ad, so they don't have to pay to be presented in front of me. And then, again, that's something else they look at, and it's just I'm like, so when you're looking at, how many clicks are you getting or whatnot, and that's
Right.
something else
Right.
they look at, and they're like, I'm like, so in all, you're spending how much every month trying to you're getting some revenue.
Right.
But I'm like, well, what about if you use something else to where people can see directly in it? Again, it's your reviews. And I was telling you primarily Google, but then also like Yelp, other services. That's where people are looking. And when people look in there, and as long as you have a program now for
Right.
your customers who are already happy, and happy customers usually mean if you ask them to do something. Now, again, that's another whole nother dynamic to get them to leave the review.
They'll do it. Yeah.
They'll do it. They will do it. And like I said, that's your marketers right there. That's your army of marketers are the people who are paying your bills right now in your restaurant or your
Yep.
your job or whatever it might be.
That's one of the things that I monitor, even doing the podcast that I do for the city. Um, I do, and even if I post something on our LinkedIn page, they have the impressions there.
Yes.
And so I monitor those impressions. Matter of fact, I have a data spreadsheet that I monitor those impressions, and I want to make sure that, okay, so how many business owners are looking at this? The impressions could be 221 or whatever that, but out of that 221, what is the specific market that I want to target?
Right.
And is that market responsive to this video that I'm putting out, this podcast? And that's how I do it. And I do. So I guess the same thing that your business do for other business who come to you.
Right.
You're doing that kind of analysis and tracks it for them. Um, but what I can tell you is I have to make time to do that.
Right.
I
As
have
long
to make that right. And that's because what the city wants me to do is make sure, and it's all well and good. We got the podcast out, platform out for the businesses. And how is it being utilized? Is it making an impact?
right.
Is it reaching an audience that it intended to reach? And so those things happen. So I think that's the same thing that you're
Yeah,
suggesting
same
for
thing.
business
Same thing.
owners, whether it's a barber shop, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a hair salon, whether it's nails, whether it's a gym, whatever it is.
Attorney. Yeah.
Are you right? Are you getting the impressions that you want? And it also has there the click average range. all of that. So, and it's all there. It's like, okay, so how many people clicks mean that somebody's either liking it or they're sharing it?
Right. And
You
this,
know,
and this thing with the ads, like for instance, like you do Facebook ads or whatever, it's just going to ask you for a general audience who you think is going to want your services and whatnot, right? But I tell people all the time, go on Google and see who people are searching for, whether
mhm,
they're doing t-shirts, they want printing done, they want, like I said, whatever industry that they want, the service taxes, whatever.
mhm,
When they're on Google, they're actually searching for that. So you know that they're going to search for that.
right,
So are you going to show up in that? Yes, like, your
mhm,
website, your SEO, all the other things are going to account for that, but then also your reviews, because now Google is moving over to maps for people looking for services and products. They want people to actually use the Google Maps app now.
exactly,
So
exactly.
now if you're not, so now your reviews, so now when you're coming up, and Google's only going to show the certain reviews that are good. The ones who are lower, they're not even going to show them.
That is so important because my wife and I, we were coming from Orlando last 2 months ago, coming back from Orlando, and we were probably somewhere around Vero Beach,
Okay.
that area, and we got hungry, wanted something to eat. No, no, not Vero Beach, um, around West Palm. We got hungry, and so she just Googles. She pull out. Well, let's see what restaurant is available, and this sub sub sandwich shop came up, 5 stars. And she says, well, this restaurant is here, and it's like in the next exit. And we're like, okay, we went to it. So best sandwiches ever. But the point I'm making is we're driving in the car. She Googles, and out of all the restaurants in that area, that one pop up.
Yeah.
It was like, wow. And the guy says, hey, um, talk to the owner. He says, we're packed all the time. He says, and I says, why? I says, well, and I went, me being a city person, talking to business
Right.
owners, had a conversation. And some of the people that walked in there, they were like, oh man, this is the best shop ever. Oh man, they make the best sandwiches ever. And everyone there had the same sentiments. So if all those people in there were to do a review,
Hmm.
imagine what his percentage
Oh,
would
yeah,
be. Right.
exactly.
But he
And
but my wife, like you said, my wife Googled it while we're driving.
yeah,
And it was the only there were some other ones, but that one went straight to the top.
yeah,
Five
and that's
star.
yeah, and that's why I tell. I mean, a lot of it has to do, location, proximity, and all that type of stuff too. But still, I would tell, a lot of business owners, you're missing out a big piece of the pie right now, where a lot of other businesses aren't taking advantage of it yet.
Mhm.
That's why I always tell people, you want to be on the forefront of this before it becomes,
Right.
I don't want to say becoming too mainstream to the point now where you're just like, oh my God, every other business is doing this. And now, you're having to play catch up with them. And playing
Mhm.
catch up, we all know, is a lot harder than if you're already there. Once you're already there, you have your program in place, you're good. Your customers are good.
Yeah.
They're happy. They already know. A lot of time, I've seen one that I'm working with now, they actually have their customers getting other customers to leave reviews. And I'm like, how did you guys get that? They're like, easy. We tell them we
Yeah.
love it. Let other people know too. And they figured they let other customers know. And as a customer telling another customer, you're even quicker to leave a review now if you're that other customer. Just because a customer is like, hey, you know what? I've been coming here. If you haven't left them a review yet, you really, really want to leave them a review because man, other people got to know about them. We want to see them, succeed. So that's why I always tell a lot of clients, business owners, your customers, the ones who are paying your bills, that's your marketing team right there.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Use
Yes.
them.
Awesome. Yes. Yes. That
Use
is
them.
true. That is
They're your
true.
marketing team. They're your
Wow.
marketing team, and it's free. You're just asking them to leave you those reviews. And now all you have to do on your end as a business owner, though, you have to have some service and things in place to make it easy for them to do their job for you. So
Wow.
that's how I kind of position it with, the business owners. And they always like, wow, I never really thought about it that way. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, if you do now, and like I said, so far every business that I've actually brought on board, they're seeing good results. They're happy campers, makes me happy. They give me a little referrals here and there. But the one thing I say, every business, and that, as a business, is just me having to deal with it. if they sell, like say sub, they don't want me working with anybody in the area that sells
Right.
subs, only because they're seeing the results.
Right,
You
and
know, and
right, and
for
they want to
every
keep on a compatible,
yeah, and
okay, competition.
every business, that's the one thing they all say is they've never really taken the reviews part seriously. They like reviews, you know, they hate when they get a negative review, they panic, but they never were actively looking because they're always afraid of, well, if I'm actively asking people for reviews, I'm going to get bad reviews. Okay, that's
Mhm.
great. Get the bad review. It's going to help your business. Period. You know, and they're like, what do you? And then when I explain them how it helps, and then all of a sudden that's when they realize, like, oh wow, the lights go on, and just like never looked at it that. I said exactly, just like they say, you got to
Right, I
make
didn't get it.
lemonade out of it. You know,
Okay.
so yeah, so all my clients, the ones, I mean, I just had one who just got a 1-star review. Normally him and his wife, they would have been panicking. They would have been like, oh, these, I know exactly. And I'm like, listen, it's calm. Let's go ahead. Responded to them. The person actually responded back, actually contacted them, and come to find out it was just a huge misunderstanding that was going on, and they
Cleared
resolved
it
it.
right up. Right.
And the guy went back in and he updated, and I told him, let him know, don't change his initial review, add on to it, and let them know why you updated from a 1 to a 5-star. And he did, and they were just like, oh, Atley, he goes, that
So now,
price
so
is
now,
worth.
so now, AJ, do you do that for businesses?
Um,
Is that what your company do for businesses?
yes, for the
Are you
business.
the one that goes in and look at the reviews and you update it for them, or do you pass that baton on that information to the business owner and have them actually respond?
So it depends on the business. If they want me to do that service, yes, I can provide that service also. I would say most businesses, they start out on their own, but then once they actually start getting reviews more than what they're accustomed to getting, that's when they
Mhm.
realize that, hold up, we can't handle this no more. And then they'll say, hey, AJ, we need you to go ahead and, you know, take over, and we'll discuss that. But the only thing is when they do get lower than a 3-star review, and I see, especially if I see a review where there's some content in it, that's when I'll be like, okay, I can't respond right away. I need to find out what's going on first. So that way I'll contact the business owner and let them know that, hey, this is the review. What's the backstory on this? So that way, when I respond to them, I can let them know exactly who to respond to, you know, whatnot. Because, like I said, we want to make it personalized. You know, once you personalize that response, and people know, just like you said in your experience, that it's been personalized to you. And if it was real, they'll respond. They will respond. 'Cause at the end of the day, I mean, they came there they probably want to come back again. You know,
Mhm.
they probably want to come back, buy more of your product or your restaurant, whatever it might be, if you respond to them right, and then hopefully they
Right.
respond back, and then you work it out. And in this case, they worked it out, and then the person who said it would never come there again, they were supposed to do a date night, would never come there again. Now all of a sudden they're booking out to actually have an event at their
Wow.
book just because of that. So
Well, AJ, I really appreciate you being our guest today because I've learned a lot about how reputation and reviews can help your branding. Even a negative review can
right,
help your branding if you respond to it the proper way. And
yes,
I'm glad your services are out there for businesses who want to um, protect their brand, but also want to build their business and want to satisfy their customers. So I'm glad that your business is out there to do that. I'll tell anyone they can reach you by, is it okay if I give your contact information?
oh yes, yeah, most definitely.
If you're listening out there, you can reach AJ at 754-332-3074, or you can email him, AJ at uh, digital, what is
Rep
it?
and reviews.
Yeah, digital rep and reviews.com.
Um,
Okay.
yes,
Um,
and
Again, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Your insight and your suggestions and what you do for businesses is invaluable. I'm hoping that businesses will respond to you. Um, I also like our business owners, if you're out there listening, to join the City of Miramar's Business Pulse newsletter. We have a lot of information on that. We have a lot of information about webinars that are coming up that can help your business, such as AJ's business. We also have a lot of information on financial support for your business. You can always find out information about what the city is doing and how we are supporting businesses in our city of Miramar. So that is called, you can sign on by that by going to miramarfl.gov/business pulse. Also, I'd like to invite you, if you're in the Pembroke Pines, Miramar area, to take advantage and join the Miramar Pembroke Pines Chamber of Commerce. AJ is a part of that with the referral groups. Being part of that conference is like being a part of a family. It's part of being a community. Those business owners, they work together, they play together, have fun, but they also grow together as well. So take advantage of that as well if you are a Miramar Pembroke Pines business, to join the Pembroke Pines Chamber of Commerce, and also understand that the city of Miramar, for our businesses, the city of Miramar covers the cost for your membership from the Chamber of Commerce for the first year. So please take advantage of that, and you can meet other business owners such as AJ that can bring value to your business. Again, AJ, thank you for being on the show. We appreciate you, man.
My pleasure.
As I say all the time, be careful, be safe, be nice, but also I'd like you to stay connected.